Thank you everyone for joining this webinar, which is the first webinar in the region related to E7, Microsoft E7. Okay, we're going to start. So this webinar, mainly, we're going to be focusing on the frontier firms, how they're adopting and how the best practices to adopt E7. And it's going to be aligned with the jurisdiction requirements within the Middle East, KSA and UAE. So we're going to start with introducing ourselves, introducing the speakers. Eric, if you want to start from your side, and then Hisham, and I'll take it forward after that, would be great. Eric, over to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Jason. So my name is Eric Bournéan. I am a Chief Partner Architect at Microsoft, working on our AI at work, based in Dubai. Hisham?
Thanks, Eric. Good morning, everyone. My name is Hisham Abdelal. I'm a Senior Cybersecurity GTM Lead in Microsoft, mainly cover Middle East and Africa, and based out in Dubai and UAE.
Great. My name is Jason Saer. I'm heading the Data and AI Security Advisory Practice within Exvita Group. Pleasure to meet you all. Ziad?
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be with you. My name is Ziad Yashwari. I'm the Cybersecurity Manager at Exvita.
Great. All right, I'm going to run you through the agenda of the webinar. We're going to start this webinar with the new reality, where I'm going to start introducing our presentation, the new reality in the Middle East. We're going to then deep dive into the compliance pressure that are mandated in UAE and KSA. We then again move to how Copilot and AI agents have changed the new operating model that we're embarking in the coming era. And equally, we're then gonna deep dive, Eric and I, into Microsoft E7 and the new AI platform and the secure AI platform. And then Ziad is gonna deep dive into protecting data, users, and AI in real time. And then Hisham is gonna deep dive into the ultimate way to secure AI and agents across the board. And we're gonna have time for Q&A. So anyone who has any questions throughout this session, please do put them in the chat and we'll address them on the go. And at the end, we'll also have a section for Q&A. I'm going to start quickly with an introduction of Exvita Group, who we are, and quickly, I'm going to start with us as a group. We are a global company. We are headquartered in UAE. We have offices across the region in KSA, in UK, and also in the US. And as a group, we have been founded in 2011. We were born on the cloud, and we have different jurisdictions that we operate in. We have 4 main verticals: consulting and advisory, implementation services, customer success hub, and technology and innovation. We are a global Microsoft partner. We are advanced specialized in various areas. We were the first data and AI advanced specialized partner in the region. We're also members of the International Association of Privacy Professionals, and we have more than 200,000 seats served on the cloud with global projects and clients. As a group, as I said, we are a global partner. We're the second largest cloud solution provider with Microsoft in Central Europe and Middle East. And as I said, we're advanced specialized in various areas, including security, data and AI, infrastructure, business applications, and Copilot. We have various references across the region in different industries, across different segments. And this shows our commitment to the organizations that we work with and our vast experience in the region. Our capabilities are divided into 6 main capabilities. We have advisory and consulting, where we look at advisory and compliance and alignment with the jurisdiction requirements. We have subscriptions and licensing from Microsoft, be it Azure, Microsoft Dynamics, and we have our proprietary IPs, HRX for HR management platform, and Insights HQ for a pre-built data solution. We also have an implementation team that implements business applications, security solutions, data and AI solutions, and modern work and infra. We also have customization of platforms, integrations, and automation of AI solution and automation customization. And we have an activation pillar for change management and adoption for ensuring end-to-end awareness, change management, communication, and adoption of any technology that is implemented. And last but not least, the Customer Success Hub and the Customer Success, which is a managed service around security, infra, and AI, and equally from IT help desk 24/7. Let's deep dive directly into the new reality and the risks, regulations, and AI in the Middle East. As you know, over the last few quarters, we've moved from AI assistants that can help you write or summarize AI agents that act on your behalf, connected to systems, and drive outcomes. And as you can see, the adoption curve is steep. By 2028, we're looking at more than 1.3 billion AI agents in use, which signals a structural change in how work gets done. Executives aren't treating agents as a side experiment. If you see on the screen, 82% of organizations intend to integrate agents within the next 1 to 3 years. So this is now part of near-term planning cycles, not a 5-year horizon. And it won't be limited to a handful of pilot apps. And if you see on the screen, by 2026, 40% of enterprise applications are expected to be integrated with task-specific agents. That means agents embedded in workflows across different business functions, sales, service, finance, and supply chain. Now, what we're seeing across various organizations is a consistent pattern. Once AI moves into real workflows, these outcomes aren't coming from isolated pilots or one-off experiments. They show up when really AI is embedded into how work actually happens, especially in engineering, in operations, customer support, and go-to-market teams that are actually working on go-to-market activities. When employees have AI embedded into everyday workflows, productivity increases without adding headcount. Even developers have AI integrated into their day-to-day activities and daily tools, where delivery speeds up and teams spend less time on rework. And when customer-facing teams redesign high-volume processes around AI support and support operations, this becomes dramatically effective. And we've seen that in action within Exfitec Group as an organization. The important thing to notice here isn't the numbers that you can see, it's that the impact shows when the business works across the functions, and that's the difference between experimenting with AI and what we call the frontier transformation. AI becomes a core operating capability that compounds value across teams, processes, and outcomes. So the question isn't whether AI can drive impact, it's what changes when you design for scale instead of pilots and small solutions across the board. Now, in this slide, I want to touch bases on the new attack surfaces. AI doesn't just add productivity, which it definitely does, it adds new risks and threats. And in addition to the unique challenges organizations are already facing across identity, cloud, endpoints, data, AI adds new pressure onto the existing threat landscape. Defenders are starting not from zero. They have a big bulk of prerequisites that they have in their hand. They're already operating in a complex high-risk environment where AI accelerates that reality by increasing scale, speed, and automation for both legitimate users and attackers. And AI doesn't just intensify these traditional threats, it introduces new ones. We now have to secure things that simply didn't exist before. Prompts, responses that can be manipulated, data pipelines that fuel models and agents, plugins and integrations that expand attack path, and autonomous agents that can take action at machine speed and on your behalf. Each of these becomes a new surface attackers can use, exploit, and poison. That's why this moment is different. The security approaches that worked before aren't enough on their own. And with the AI and agents, this attack surface has increased. And to address these challenges, trust is the most important bit to infuse. Frontier firms currently don't just add more AI tools, they connect intelligence that understands how work gets done, how the business operates, and how enterprise knowledge comes together. But intelligence on its own isn't enough. At scale, frontier firms are designing from the start a secure, compliant, and observable foundation beneath every agent. And agents have identities, clear boundaries, and accountability for outcomes, so innovation can move fast without introducing unmanaged risks. If you see over here, we can see as well from an AI perspective, and especially in the Middle East, 75% of employees are using AI in their day-to-day activities, which is, by the way, above the global average, which is 69% as per PwC in 2025. We know that AI is adopting in a fast way. People are already using AI solutions in their day-to-day activities. But the real challenge is not only about adoption. Of course, adoption is key, but governance, guardrails, having visibility, and protecting shadow IT and unmanaged access is key. Also, oversharing is a big risk that we're seeing. And why this matters now? Because in the region, there's a lot of jurisdictional requirements that we'll be diving now into around security, privacy, and expectations from the best practices to allow us to properly adopt AI in a trustworthy and responsible way. So the question is no longer whether to use AI, is whether we are using it in a responsible and secure and governed way. Now, when you onboard a new employee, you do two things, right? You give them context, knowledge, data, and how work really happens within the organization. And you give them the controls, policies, guardrails, and accountability to properly use those data knowledge that we're giving them. Agents shouldn't be different than how we manage employees. If agents can touch messages, files, meetings, systems, then the same enterprise-grade controls should be impacted as well, impacting the AI agents. The question isn't can an agent do a task, it's can it do it safely, consistently, and measurably at scale. So something that is key is now with agents, Copilot, there's a new shift to a new operating model. As adoption accelerates, the question becomes, what does it take to build proper agents that truly deliver value at scale, that brings us to the next critical point? What are the essentials for high-performance agents? And this is, as you can see on the screen, rich connected context, unified access to data and signals, low friction development and orchestration, and of course, governance and observability. And these pillars are what separate agents that simply automate tasks from those that transform how organizations work. In the next couple of slides, I'm going to deep dive into each of the essential building blocks of agents and how they deliver real business impact. Now, the shift to a new operating model. So why are agents so exciting? Agents extend organizations' capability beyond the limits of human speed and scale. They can interpret information, reason to make decisions, create high-quality outputs that previously required significant human effort. In other words, they can transform AI into a trusted teammate, not just a standalone tool. If you see the first era, which is the traditional operating model, where most of organizations do still sit, we have the leadership, the teams, the functions, and each decision approval is layered. The knowledge are trapped in silos. Every task needs a human behind it, and every decision and activity costs a human. In the second era, which mainly was between 2023 and 2025, where a lot of organizations are now in, humans are using AI assistants, Copilot, to do their tasks. So drafting emails, summaries, individual productivity improvements, even personal, etc. But now what we're seeing from the agentic operating model in 2025 onwards, this is where most of the competitive frontier firms are. Humans are using agents, agents are using agents, and agents act end-to-end, and a human steers those agents. Workflows run without waiting, and the question here is no longer whether to shift, it's how fast you move, because if you don't move in the same scale as your competitors, you're going to be behind. So I think in this slide, I want to touch bases of the building blocks of agents. No matter the use case, there are a few essential building blocks that make up agents. with Copilot, with Microsoft AI Foundry, you can tailor these building blocks to meet your unique business needs. There's the models that provide the intelligence for your agents, giving them the power of prediction and insight. Knowledge is the enterprise resources that your agents can query, such as files, public websites, and others. And tools are the reusable components that enable your agent to perform tasks and take action using your data and apps, and not to recreate the tools and agents every time. The orchestration brings all the components together, providing the instructions, logic behind your agent flows. And the channel is where do we want to engage our agents within Teams, Facebook, WhatsApp, company websites, within enterprise applications, so on and so forth. Now let's touch base on the models. With Microsoft technologies and Microsoft AI technology, Microsoft brings a comprehensive selection of frontier, open, industry-specific models. And this enables organizations to use these models that make more sense for agents and AI solutions. Microsoft enables every employee and developer as well to tap into those powerful models, which include OpenAI models, Claude models, which were recently added a month back, the latest Claude models, and other models from different partners. Now, when it comes to the knowledge, knowledge is key because knowledge is the base of the AI component. So agents can connect to a wide range of knowledge sources, be it Microsoft 365, Dataverse, Azure, external apps and services, even live web data. This means organizations can create secure, well-governed knowledge bases once and then reuse them as needed without having to rebuild and manage fragmented data pipelines, which is a challenge that organizations are currently facing. Also, as you can see, Microsoft security tools such as Entra ID, Purview provide a consistent governance layer so that when agents are created and built, those can automatically respect your existing user permissions and data classification policies and so forth. So to help make decisions quickly, agents need more than raw data. They need to be able to understand, reason, and have the right data to synthesize insights and have meaningful outcomes. Now, something that is as well new, and a lot of people don't know this, but Microsoft created something called Microsoft IQ, which is, by the way, unique in the industry. It acts as the connective tissue between the raw data and meaningful outcomes, infusing agents with rich contextual understanding, not just the data, but the relationship, roles, business semantic, knowledge base around it. These layers empower agents to make smarter decisions and take more effective actions. And I'm going to start with Work IQ. Work IQ is the intelligent layer inside M365 that enables Copilot agents to truly understand your role, you as an employee, as an individual, workflows, the day-to-day context that shapes how work gets done. It gathers signals from across your meetings, emails, business systems, and then looks at understanding them in the right way. Fabric IQ elevates that, and it looks at how organizations work by creating and ensuring a consistent semantic foundation is there that connects those people to the data, later on to the AI. It powers the trustworthy agentic experience and accelerates time to insight by continuously shaping how the business operates in real time. And Foundry IQ takes that scattered enterprise knowledge and turns it into something usable by every agent and AI solution. Now, the deployment channels. Sometimes we create an agent, we create a solution, but we want to deploy it on various different channels. This is where the channels are where your end users, your employees can directly engage with their agents. And it can be Teams, Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, emails, Slack, any enterprise application within your organization. And you can publish those agents to a broad set of channels using a common activity protocol and client integrations. But this consistency helps reduce governance overhead and provide consistent customer experience because you will be able to manage those channels in one single platform. And with Microsoft, your agents aren't tied to a single service. You can build agents once and deploy them everywhere. This is the nice part of it. And it ensures cost optimization, efficiency, and deployment. And it ensures consistency, and with consistent agents, APIs, logic, and governance. For example, you can publish agents from Copilot and Copilot Studio and AI Foundry or Azure OpenAI directly into the M365 applications with minimal friction and native identity. But also you can embed your agents into custom apps to drive conversational experience with end users. And with Copilot, you use direct client API. And with AI Foundry, developers can also promote agents into managed production services with stable endpoints, role-based access, and lifecycle control. And this results in a more consistent, reliable, and ensure faster adoption with users and less extensions and fragmentation by the IT. Now, when it comes to orchestration, I think this is key because we are creating agents from different sources, be it from Copilot, Copilot Studio, AI Foundry, and agent orchestration can integrate those technologies like models, tools, knowledge sources, and agents with traditional automation to streamline the process. And it also brings these decisions and actions into one observable runtime. So you can answer questions like the ones on the screen. Was the right knowledge retrieved at the right time? Was context preserved across agents? Was the right tool invoked? And is there audit trails to those solutions? Now, the orchestration can refer to what happens with one agent, like calling a tool, and also refers to orchestrating multiple agents together. However, sophisticated solutions or mature solutions are typically multi-agent systems with modular workflows and specialized agent roles. And this is where we have Microsoft Agent Framework. And the question here is, what happens when different teams build agents in different ways? Like I was saying earlier, on different platforms, developers may create agents on Microsoft Foundry, business makers, IT, and end users can create agents on Copilot. These are different surfaces, right? Optimized for different personas based on their technicality, based on their low code, no code, etc. But they do not create different orchestration models. A Microsoft Agent Framework is the open source orchestration layer that powers both Foundry and Copilot, and this makes the layer, the different layers discoverable, interoperable, and observable. Now, compliance and jurisdiction requirements within UAE and KSA, and the pressure that is there for organizations to follow the best practices and to ensure that risk is mitigated and properly governed. And it's not only about the pressure, it's about, as organizations, we want to implement the best practices across the board. So I'm going to touch base across two regions, KSA and UAE. I'm going to start with KSA. Within KSA, we have different jurisdiction requirements, be it around protection of personal data and ensuring personal data is properly protected in our AI workloads. There's the Personal Data Protection Law. There's the National Data Management Office that has also personal data protection capabilities and requirements. There's the data governance and management of creating this single source of truth within our organization. And this is mandated by best practices globally, such as DAMA and the National Data Management Office. From a cybersecurity perspective, we have also within KSA the National Cybersecurity Authority, the National Data Management Office for data classification, and different regulations based on the industry, SAMA for finance, CST for telcos, for different industries, technology, and space, etc. And when it comes to AI, within KSA, there is no specific requirements to govern AI or to manage AI yet. In the coming month, they're going to release SADAYA, those requirements, the Saudi Data and AI Authority. But currently, there's AI ethics principles. That's why we also base the best practices globally, be it AIMS or the AI Management System ISO 42001 or the EU AI Act. and this makes sure that we are following the best practices for AI. Now, in UAE, there's also similar practices, but different namings. For example, the UAE Personal Data Protection Law, the federal law, ADGM, the jurisdiction of ADGM, the jurisdiction of the IFC, they have separate personal data protection laws. From a data governance as well, you have the DGE, you have the UAE Smart Data Framework, and of course, DAMA as the best practices. From a cybersecurity, you have the best practices globally, but also when it comes to the Cybersecurity Council requirements, the UAE Information Assurance Regulation, desk requirements around information security regulations. All of those are best practices to follow within our organizations to have our ecosystem, our AI solutions, our AI workloads ready for proper, responsible, and secure and governed AI adoption. Now, when it comes to E7, I'm going to hand over to Eric to start with the next section, which is around your AI and secure platform and what we're missing today with E7 Suite. So Eric, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jason. Is it okay if I take control, or you want to change the slide?
Sure. I can.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Let's give you a second. I'm requesting control.
Sure. I provided that. Go ahead.
This one.
Okay. And I can also support you, Eric. So please go ahead.
Okay. I'm not able to. Okay, you can move the screen for me. I'm not able to move the slide, so I'll stop the control. You can do that for me. All right. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you very much, Esquitech, for inviting me to present today. Jason, great presentation about the whole security landscape and also the new type of company that are emerging since the emergence of AI. As Jason clearly mentioned, there is a new type of company that we're seeing out there that we call the frontier firm, right? And what the frontier firm are really showing us is that today every company needs to leverage intelligence the right way. So for frontier firm, the two things that are really important to them: intelligence, of course, but intelligence that is trusted. That's why it's absolutely critical to have security as a foundation on every frontier firm discussion. So just I'll show you how the frontier firm operates, right? So for the frontier firm, it's really important to bring agents and human as a hybrid team. This is an important distinction. The frontier firm are not looking at AI or agent as tools. They're looking at them as digital employee, right? So they're creating hybrid team. And for you to be able to provide the same level of governance or security and monitoring to those digital employee, you need a new type of SKU. This is why Microsoft launched the Microsoft 365 E7 SKU, because we believe that this is the SKU that any company that is on a journey to become a frontier firm will need to have. They need intelligence. We have it with Copilot. They need observability at every single layer. We have it with Microsoft Agent 365. Remember, every agent becomes a digital employee. This is not just tool that you're building. You're bringing employee in your ecosystem. You want people to know what they're doing, evaluate them, right? Performance review as well, like you will do for any other employees, and remove them if they don't perform. But you need to be able to see this. And more importantly, because this is really meant for the enterprise, you want this in the flow of the work that you're doing. So E7 include our E5 compliance and security suite for productivity, compliance, and security, Microsoft Copilot to bring that intelligence, and then A365 as the observability layers for your agents that's going to be on your on your workflows. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, the most important thing for those frontier firms is really to bring intelligence and trust. That's the only way you're going to scale this, right? If you really want to drive true value of AI, you want to get the latest intelligence, of course. So the latest model, the greatest model. We actually calling them frontier firm because we make a reference to the fact that a frontier model is the latest model. So the frontier firm is a company that really think ahead, right? So for them, intelligence is important, as we clearly mentioned, and trust. So How does EMI7 does this? Super slide. So we need three things. We bring AI in the flow of the work. Again, you creating hybrid team, human employee and digital employee. The human employee want the digital counterpart to meet them where they are, right? I do not want to have to do copy paste. I go and ask a question here, copy paste on this environment. As an employee human, I'm not gonna like this, right? You want to bring frictionless in your ecosystem for your employees when you bring those digital employee. Very important. So AI in the flow of your work is absolutely critical. Let's not just create agent for the sake of agent. We create agent because we bring them on the flow of the work. Go back to the next slide, previous slide, please. I'm still on the same slide, yeah. The second thing is about agent, right? So how can we really create innovation? Again, in every one of us on the call today, there is a creator, there is a maker out there. How do we make sure that we all participate in the 1.3 billion agent that are going to be created by 2028? I mean, I just showed a figure that shows that in 2 years' time, there will be 1.3 billion, and every single of us on the call today would participate. So you need to give them tools that will allow us to create agent that will do the work. And last but not least, you need observability. Again, intelligence without trust is just not going to work. You want to trust your intelligence. Next slide. That's why a Copilot does. Like Copilot it really is that ecosystem that brings your assistant for your employees, and then your agent ecosystem on the back end, right? For a frontier employee like me, on the same slide. So on frontier employee, if I ask Copilot to summarize a document or to update my ticket on my CRM system, I'm talking to my assistant, Copilot. My assistant reach out to the right agent. Agent can be a process, it can be an application that's been done to an agent, get the information done for me, and then update that, right? So as an employee, I only interface now with my digital employee, ask him to do work for me, and he's going to figure out behind what is the right agent for the process that I'm trying to achieve and complete it, right? A different approach to what we have today. Speak to my agent. Agent has multiple other agents that do specific tasks so that I can have my tasks done. All of this in a secure environment, right? Next slide, please. Again, as I mentioned, because this is meant for the enterprise, right? You want AI in the flow of work. It's really, really important that we remove friction for the employees. For that, it's important that the AI understand the employees, right? So you want me to say, hey, Copilot, can you summarize the last email that Jason sent me about this event? He should not ask me who's Jason. He should not ask me what event are you talking about. He should infer those information from the context that he understands from me. And that is what WorkIQ is, right? WorkIQ is Microsoft intelligence layers that we put on top of our solution. So we have the LLM as the foundational intelligence, and we add WorkIQ to provide additional context to LLM, right? Because the LLM alone, without context, is not going to give you what you need. Great prompt, great outcomes. So WorkIQ is really there to elevate your prompts. Remember, employees want simplicity. If I want to prompt your agent or Copilot, I want to be able to speak freely. I do not have to be a prompt engineer to speak to those tools. We say, yes, absolutely, you don't have to. Just ask your question, and then we're going to use WorkIQ to elevate your prompt, to add additional context that we will send out to the LLM. That's what it is. This is why, or I could give you skills where I can say, hey, act as a brand manager. That's the skills. He will know that, okay, and he wants me to think as a brand manager. He has all of the brand manager skill set that I need. I can say context, right? So memory. When you respond on my behalf, please use tiers. Say thank you, don't say thanks. Don't use M-dash. He understands my context, right? He has that memory. And I can also say, hey, when I'm asking for about data, please check in our CRM, check in our Office application, right? Using Graph API to elevate the prompt. That's what WorkIQ does. It allows the employees, again, you do not want to bring friction. This is why most of the AI projects fail. We create agents, we bring them into the enterprise, and employees are absolutely confused because they've been asked to become prompt engineer, they've been asked to do additional work, they've been asked to copy paste between agents. They don't want that. They want to speak to the employees, digital employees, and for it to understand the context automatically. And that's what WorkIQ does. Next slide. Flow of the work, right? So again, frontier firm, agent, Copilot, and not just to the digital employee. So it's very important when you bring those employees into your ecosystem, that you look for an employee that is cultural fit, right? I mean, if you are an HR leader on the call today and you want to hire 2 employees, one is a superstar, but he doesn't really fit your culture, and you have another employee that really fit the culture, you're probably going to want to have the one that is good, but fit the culture. And that's what we show here. Copilot sit within the app that you have today, right? If you are a Microsoft 365 customer today, and you want to bring intelligence, that's what we're saying. It's going to be right there. There's no integration needed. This is one unified platform. Right? Integration is great, but integrations bring friction. Integration add additional cost, right? You might not want that as customers. You want a unified platform. This is really why it's important to think of this as digital employee. You're not just buying tools. You recruiting new employees. They must fit your company culture. So if you are, that's a good example, right? I mean, Word right there. Boom, is right there. I go to PowerPoint, I see it right there. I go to Excel, it's right there. And he cannot, not only he cannot ask questions, he can also act on those documents, right? Using what we call agent mode, not edit. So it's not just an AI assistant, it's also an AI doer, because you can ask him to update your file, to create new Excel sheet, to create new visualization in your sheet, and he will do that. This is what employee wants. Again, you're not just building agent, you're bringing new employee in your organization. They must work hand-to-hand with your employees. You need to remove friction. So you really want Copilot, tools that sit within your app that you use and love today. Next slide, please. Right, so now we're going to talk about innovation, right? Next slide. As I mentioned, all of us are going to be, to some extent, a developer of agent in our life. Again, it's 1.3 billion in about 2 years' time. All of us going to participate into this, but we don't have all of the same skill set, right? So as an employee, I have different agents that are available to me. I have the first-party agent for Microsoft that are ready to use. No need for me to do anything else. I can just go and use the researcher today, the analyst, co-work. We'll show a few demos in a few minutes. PowerPoint agent, right? I can, if you don't want to go to PowerPoint, but you're more comfortable chatting with your assistant to get a deck created, you can do that. You don't have to go to PowerPoint. You can say, hey, Copilot, can you create a deck about this event? And he will do that for you. You never open PowerPoint. Again, this is what we're talking about. Frontier firms speak to assistant talk to agent on the back end, right? So if you want a specialized industry agent, we do have from our third-party ecosystem. And as I mentioned, if you want to build your own, you can create your own agent using custom agent, right? There are not one size fits all. So we fully understand this. First party, if you want to get going with those agents today, third party that are ready, if you really want something that is industry focused with little customization, and then third party is where you really want to customize the agent to really meet your own and particular business processes. Next slide, Jason. So first party, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. This is a very important distinction, right? Word, Excel, PowerPoint are becoming agent. It's clearly showing you that Microsoft is not just talking about frontier firm. We are transforming internally as well. We are transforming our SaaS application into agent because we fully understand that in the future, the frontier firm is going to be AI assistant, agent, nothing else. And this is an example that shows you that Microsoft is not just talking about this, it's already starting implementing the same thing for us. You have, if you want to do dev research, you have researcher analysts. I strongly recommend if you have the license that you try this. This is having access to a, great consulting type agent at your fingertip. Next slide. So we're going to play a quick video to show you how you can create an agent using PowerPoint, please. So I can go here, ask a question, ask Copilot to create an agent. Again, you see, I'm not opening PowerPoint. I'm just asking this to my assistant. He's going to go and ask me, hey, what template you want to use? Give me some template. I pick my template, insert it. He's going to start creating a presentation. This is the new way of work, right? Now, my deck is getting created, and I can continue to customize. I can continue to iterate on this. Again, all of this through the chat. I can say, hey, remove slide number 3, add slide number 4. I'm only chatting with my assistant. I'm not touching PowerPoint. And now I have a fully ready to go presentation. Now, if I want to add additional customization, I can do it on PowerPoint, right? But you saw the all experiences start within Copilot and in Copilot. And if I want to do something specific, then I go to PowerPoint. This is the new way of work. For that, I need my PowerPoint agent to be observable. The next one is, co-work is our latest agent. If you're still in Frontier, that allow you not to do multitask, right? You cannot to look at, hey, you want to do a product launch, for instance, right? Instead of asking Copilot to do one thing, I can create a prompt that has multiple steps and have Copilot go to work, right? I mean, if you know Cloud Cowork, it's a little bit like Cloud Cowork, right? On the right side, you're going to see any output that you put to Copilot Cowork. It's going to tell you, which is absolutely great again for observability. You're going to see exactly what he's doing. And at the end, you will see the output file that he created based on your prompt, right? It will show you the input files, all of those from a single prompt. We went from AI as an assistant to more of AI doers, because as we continue to progress, AI is going to be becoming more ambient and more autonomous, right? AI is going to stand for ambient intelligence and autonomous intelligence in the future. So all of this, one single prompt, multi-step processes. I have a deck, Excel sheet created based on my plan that I created. Next slide, please. So where can you find those agents? You go to a Microsoft Marketplace. It's a public website. You can go and find our third-party vendor partners application there. We have one from our dear friend from SQTech, Hrex. You can go there, find it there, download it, and use it. Also go to the agent store if you want to find agent available there. Next slide. As I mentioned, there's a builder in all of us, but we always have different, developer capabilities, right? If you are not really a coder like me, right, you can use the agent builder to build your agent using English as your product, as your programming language, right? It doesn't require you to do anything. Just go and say, hey, Copilot, I want to build an agent that, look at this data sources and those XYZ for me. All I'm doing is using English. I can use Agent Builder to do that, right? Copilot Studio allow you to create additional trigger. You can add additional trigger, be a little bit more sophisticated, but it's still low code, right? You don't have to be a pro coder to use that. And we have a pro code interface as well that you can use for those that are really pro coded, right? Because as I mentioned, all of us are going to become a maker in the future, because the better agent are most of the time done by the people that are closer to the problem. We all been to that places where you ask your IT team or operation team to build a dashboard for you. They create a dashboard, but it does not really meet what you wanted, because they're not really able to really understand what you want. Now, you being the maker, you can make that happen. You can really create a dashboard that really reflect what you want to see, because you understand, and you can ask this to those different tools by speaking English. Now you can really say, hey, this is what I want, and customize your prompt so that you get exactly what you need. This is what we're saying. Every one of us is going to become a builders. And what is really important is to have the right agent that are going to drive the right outcome. Now, let's not just build agent because agent are cool. We're building agent that are going to drive real outcome for us. Next slide. So, obviously, we understand this. Our platform has to be extensible. We cannot lock you in, only on the Microsoft ecosystem. It's just not going to work, right? Copilot is designed to be absolutely extensible. So we have over 1,400 connectors that connect to different data source or application that you can use today on the platform. Next slide. When you build agent, three things are very important for you. You want speed, you want intelligence, you also have to manage cost, right? So it's absolutely important that because of that you have multi-model choice. You don't want to be locked into one model. You don't want to go to a partner that say, hey, you know what? If you come to Microsoft, you can only use OpenAI. That's just not going to fly. You want choice because you always have to make that decision. In some cases, because you want speed, maybe OpenAI is the best. In other cases, you might want accuracy. Maybe Claude is the better, right? So you always have to make that decision. Hey, for this agent, what is more important? The customer services, it's all about speed. Or for speed, I can compromise on accuracy. I'll go for speed, I'll go for this model. But for a legal document, it's all about accuracy. I cannot compromise on speed. I might need a different model. So we give you that multi-model choice so you can build your agent based on the scenario that you want. Again, right agent for the right outcome. For that, you need multi-choice. MCP, right, allow you to bring different data source. Again, you have existing application that you're using today that you still want to leverage. We allow you to do this, right? Again, extensibility of the platform to make sure that you don't just rip and replace. You can continue to leverage any other data source to create your agent. Agent hallucinate. We all know this, right? This hallucination is a real thing. This is not new. AI is not deterministic. It's fully probabilistic. So this is going to happen. Now, with Copilot, you have evaluation. So you can evaluate your agent before you go to production. So you can limit his risk of you can, fine-tune it to limit his evaluation mechanism, right? So this is why it's important to call Microsoft. It's not just about we give you multimodal access, MCP to access any sources, but we also allow you to limit the hallucination by providing a tooling interface for you to evaluate your agent. Last but not least, agents are going to be becoming more and more sprawl. You want them to interconnect. I think Jason touched on this as well. So orchestration of agent is going to be absolutely important when you look at your platform. So I'm almost there. I think that's probably going to be our next slide. And we should be, yeah, so this is just an example to show you, what the Copilot Studio interface look like and what your end user or customer might see as a result of the agent that you just created. But what is really important to understand as I close my speech today is that Frontier Firm look at this as digital employee, right? So this is not just, we're not just creating agents, we're creating employees. So they must have an intro ID. We need to know what they're doing. This is why it's really critical to observe them. And with that being said, I'm not going to ask Jason to talk about how you can use Agent 365 to observe your agent at every single data. Jason?
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eric, for this. And as Eric was saying, as innovation accelerates and agents multiply, visibility becomes non-negotiable. Frontier firms insist on observability at every layer of AI stack across security, governance, performance, and business outcomes. Agents have identities of their own, actions are visible, usage, impact, and risk are measurable. Leaders can understand how AI is operating, where it is deployed, and whether it is delivering the real value. So observability is how trust scales. It enables organizations to govern, secure, and improve their AI systems with confidence. If you can see on this slide, and as we said, AI is becoming part of our day-to-day activities. So we're no longer just securing people, we're securing people and the agents acting across the organization. And those agents are touching the same data, the same apps, systems as humans are doing, right? So that's why Microsoft 365 E7 introduces a control plane for AI adoption. It gives organizations end-to-end visibility, control, and protection across both the users and their agents together, not separately. And this is where agents introduce new power, but also new risks, as I was saying before, because they can access data, invoke tools, and take action at speed and without the inputs of humans sometimes. So securing agents requires the same fundamentals as securing people: strong identity, least privilege access, and data protection, of course, and of course, continuous threat defense. And this is not about fastening security, it's about designing trust into the system from day one by design. When security is built into the foundation, organizations can scale AI confidently without slowing innovation and increasing operational risk. Now, Microsoft 365 is designed as a single coordinated security system, sharing context across identity, emails, devices, apps, and data. And this is the power of it. So there's trillions of daily signals. Every control reinforces the next. So when an attacker tries to act, the platform automatically shuts down the next move. So this is a key differentiator. That's the difference between disconnected tools and comprehensive security tools that actually work together. For business leaders, that mainly this means fewer outages, lower regulatory risk, and stronger protection without added complexity. Now, with Microsoft, you get a comprehensive protection across agents and users, and ME5, which is the advanced security capabilities, are also included in the E7, and it helps to protect identities and their access, to protect data and governing how it's used and shared, to prevent oversharing and leakage, and of course, defend against threats, from strengthening security posture to adopt AI and detect and respond to threats. So you can see here that the traditional security, be it Purview, Entra ID, Sentinel, Intune, are there to protect the people, the agents, and the infrastructure. And this is where, as well, there's an additional layer on top of all of this, which is Microsoft 365 or Agent 365. And the questions that we ask ourselves: can we track and monitor all the agents that we're creating? Do we know what agents? Do we know what our agents doing? Do we have proper guard days on the agents? Are agents protected? Do they have the right access? So all of these can be tackled through something called Agent 365. And Agent 365 ensures proper visibility and registry of those agents, ensuring the right access control is managed, and only least privilege are there, and there's no oversharing, visibility and visualization of what the agents are doing, audit trails, and of course the security foundation that ensures the data and infrastructure agents are properly doing the right task. Now, Agent 365 has three main pillars. It helps observe, it helps govern, and it helps secure. So it helps observe and monitor agents in real time, what agents are doing, what they're accessing, and of course having the overall visibility and being able to see their performance, the return on investment of those agents, so on and so forth, and protect from any misusage going forward. And it also governs agents throughout the agent lifecycle and the execution, and it also ensures that the right guardrails are there to protect and to have the right security measures. And also it helps IT and security team govern the access of resources and agents and the data underneath. And of course, the audit trail, which is key. And of course, as well, on the third pillar, it helps protect the agent and secure from misuse, from malicious prompts, etc., that the agents are actually doing, and ensures the identity, the access, and prevents data oversharing with the right access reviews, so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to Microsoft 365 agents, so there's the Microsoft 365 Admin Center and the typical security stack. And Agent 365 is not just for agents that were built on Microsoft platform. From the start, it was designed to work with the ecosystem, as Eric was saying, different agents across partners, internal developed platforms, integration with third parties. All it takes is integration with Agent 365 SDK, which includes the Microsoft's agent framework that I was talking about earlier. The goal is to make it easy to integrate agents across existing IT and security processes and workflow. And because the faster we move, we have to have those agents governed. It is very important to have this in our ecosystem. So it takes the capabilities you already use to manage and secure users in Microsoft Admin Center, Defender, InfraID, and Purview. Now, when it comes to E7, so E7, as I said, to support organizations on this journey, E7 was introduced to manage the security, the existing security with E5. And on top of that, we added Intra ID Suite to ensure proper access reviews, proper automation of joiner mover levers, even joiner mover levers of agents. So this is also something which is key. On top of the existing stack, there's the Microsoft 365 Copilot and the Agents 365 that has the control plane of agents, and of course, Work IQ across the board. So typically, most of the organizations have between E3 and E5, and this is a fundamental area that is part of the E7, the Intra ID Suite, the Copilot, and the Agent 365 to manage productivity, to ensure productivity, security, AI, and agent management in one pane of one suite, which protects your environment and ensures efficiency and productivity and governance. So, Ziad, I'm going to hand over to you to take us through protecting data, users, and AI in real time.
Perfect. Thank you, Jason. And if you can go to the next slide, please. All right. So before we go deep into AI agent specific controls, I assume that most of you over here, are already familiar with the security capabilities within the E5, and hopefully, already leveraging on them as well. So the purpose of this slide is not to go product by product, but to reinforce one key message. So the real value, comes when these capabilities are used together as one security foundation. Because when we talk about protecting data, users, and AI in real time, it's not going to be enough just to secure identities in one place, data in another, and endpoint somewhere else. So the real strength comes from bringing these controls all together in a zero trust model and making sure that that model also extends to how users interact with AI. And this is not just about Copilot, right? So it's also about other AI platforms your users may be using. So that could be an approved AI platform that you have adopted, or even a personal AI tool being used at work. So as a good example, and leveraging on some of capabilities that are there. So as an example, if you are on Copilot, you would have SharePoint governance. And if your content is not governed well in, per se, SharePoint, so Copilot will still surface it. So you should be using SharePoint Advanced Management as an example to make sites have owners, access reviews happen, and to ensure that old or overshared sites are being cleaned up, and where needed, sometimes you might even restrict them from being indexed by Copilot altogether. Now, on top of that, Purview DSPM for AI helps extend Purview into the AI layer itself. So it's going to give you visibility into AI usage. It's going to help you identify risky interactions with sensitive data, show you where prompts or responses may expose information, and also help you understand where AI is introducing new data risks across your entire environment. And from an access perspective, the same logic would apply. So you may want to block or limit access to Copilot or any other app when the user is accessing it, let's say, from an unauthorized location or unauthorized device. And even if you want to go the extra mile forward, you might want to leverage on insider risk management, so that when the user becomes a risky user, you would block their entire access to those AI agents and tools, even if they are working on your corporate network or coming from a managed device. So that is where combining these signals all together would become a really powerful approach to take. And from a security standpoint, AI agents are closer to users than they are to traditional applications, right? And this is very important to have in mind when thinking about how to secure those AI agents that you are deploying and using. So keep in mind that these agents, they have access, they interact with data, they also introduce risk if not governed properly. And the best way to secure them is to extend the same principles and tools you already use to protect users and data, while leveraging on the Entra suite that Jason mentioned, so that you are properly governing the access to the applications in much the same way you should already be doing for users. Next slide, please, Jason. So now, once we start treating AI agents and AI apps as active identities in the environment, then the next thing is, or the next challenge is, to gain that visibility, right? So if you can click, please, Jason, over here. So unlike, traditional users, these workloads, they operate at speed and are often harder to track without the right control in place. So observability becomes foundational because these workloads are not static. They have identities, they have access to data, they interact with systems, and they take actions. So Microsoft's point is that observability is needed at every layer of the stack. If you can please click, Jason. So you really need, that observability at all of these stacks, so your organization can manage, it can monitor and secure AI consistently. One more click, please, Jason. Another one. And now the most important part when it comes to observability is that it is not only a security concern. So it requires coordination across the IT teams, next click, development teams, and the security leaders. Next slide, please. Now, different personas expect different things out of observability. So for this discussion, I would like to focus on three in particular. First, starting with, the agent developer or the maker. These people, their focus is on building agents that are, safe, secure, efficient, while still being able to innovate and deliver the value, right? If we look at, for example, the IT admin, their focus is different. So they would like to control permissions, they want to manage access, and they want to ensure that, you know, monitoring these agents is possible and reliable and scalable without adding too much operational complexity. And for the last bit of the personas, the security team, these guys, their priority is, you know, more about protecting sensitive data, enforcing compliance, preventing risk as these agents are interacting, you know, with your enterprise system and information. So while each of these roles look at things from a different angle, they all rely on the same foundation to make agent oversight effective. Now, for the IT teams, as an example, observability would start with control. So they need to know, you know, which agents exist in their environment. If you can click, who owns them. Very important to know who is owning those agents, and, you know, where the risk may already be building up and what identities, you know, they are using and what they can access. If we can go to the next slide, please, Jason. Yeah, one more. And one more. All the way, please, to the development teams need runtime. Yeah. All right. So looking at a different angle, so a different persona, looking at, you know, development teams. So for these guys, it's more about, you know, a totally different purpose. So for them, it's more about making sure that, you know, agents are built responsibly, they are being tested securely, and they continuously, you know, are observed after they have been deployed in your environment. So as an example, with Microsoft Entra, the developers can ensure an agent identity is in place, and then access controls are built into every agent, similar to how you're building access controls to users. And this will allow, you know, them and the security team to mitigate the risks of unmanaged agents and perhaps over-permissioned resources. Click, please. All right, and can we go back, Jason? I had a lag. And then with Microsoft Defender, for example, and talking about dev team, you know, Microsoft Defender should be built in. So developers will gain contextualized alerts and posture recommendation directly from the Foundry control plane. And this integration would proactively prevent, you know, configurations, access risks, all while defending the agents from runtime threats in real time. Next slide. Now, building on that, you know, different personas would expect different things, and they would still need those things to be addressed across the full AI lifecycle. So at a high level, it would come really across, you know, three main areas. So the first one is data protection and compliance, which is done through Purview. So this will make sure that sensitive data remains protected as it is being accessed or used or referenced by the AI or, of course, the users, while also giving the organization the visibility it needs into those interactions that are happening. Now, second to that, security posture, you know, and emerging threats are tackled with Defender. So this is done by helping, you know, the security team to understand where the risk may exist and what vulnerabilities or attack paths are emerging and where stronger controls may be needed. And third but not least, identity and access with Entra. So this is where, you know, would be able to make sure that agents have the right identities, the right, you know, access and right guardrails applied from day one. So this is really, you know, the border security structure around AI. It's more about protecting data, monitoring the risk, and governing the access. Next slide, please. Right now, bringing this all together and thinking back to the different personas we just touched on, this is where Microsoft Agent 365 comes in. So it is designed to give organizations one unified controlled plane for managing the full, you know, agent ecosystem with the visibility, with the governance, with the security needed across all of those roles. So in particular, that Microsoft 365 agent will deliver a unified registry, access control, visualization, interoperability, and security for your organization. And these capabilities will work together to help your organization manage agents and drive business value. So just touching, subtly on each and starting with the registry, it's going to be powered by Entra, where you're going to be provided with a complete and unified inventory of all of the agents deployed and used in your organization, including, of course, both Microsoft and even third-party agents. When we look at the access control, this is going to allow you to limit access privilege of your agents to only the resources that they need and protect their access to the resources all in real time. When we think of visualization, this will give your organization the ability to see what matters most and to gain insights through a unified dashboard and advanced analytics, and of course have a role-based reporting to ensure that this is governed. Looking at the last two, so for interop, it will allow the agents to access organizational data through Work IQ, just to give you added context and to integrate it with Microsoft 365 apps such as Outlook, Word, Excel, so that they can all collaborate alongside the users. And for the last one, which is also a very important one, security will allow your team to proactively detect vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, protect against common attacks such as prompt injections, or preventing agents from processing or leaking sensitive data. And this will give your organization the ability to also audit agent interactions to assess the compliance readiness and violations that are happening, all while recommending the controls for that, evolving regulatory requirements that are coming up. Now I'll hand over to Hisham for a deeper dive into the ultimate way to secure AI and agents and how to secure AI in action. Over to you, Hisham. Thank you.
Thank you, Ziad. I hope I'm audible. And thank you, Jason, for navigating. So quick introduction. So the team's explaining to everyone right now about the evolutions, about what are the capabilities that's coming from Microsoft in terms of E7, showing you the AI agentic kind of a landscape about what's happening and the guidance of how to protect across different entities from users, IT, assets, and including agents and AI. Now we're going to show you double click and deep dive in what are the capabilities and the stack that Microsoft providing in order to really govern, secure, protect your AI million agents. But before going into details and breaking down across what are the main underlying workloads and what are the capabilities and sharing exactly double click on what Jason and the team shared at the beginning in terms of what are the main challenges that we're seeing with organizations and customers when starting the transformation journey and building more kind of an agents, either as a first party coming from the Microsoft stack or even a third party, or even going to a custom one as a consumer or enterprise. So we're going to double click technically and then showing you more demos and demonstrations and screens as much as you can to give you the full context of what are the capabilities. But before going to this, we don't want to say we all know the AI agents is already being arrived. But there is a kind of a fundamental, technically a kind of a shift on how work gets done exactly. So as you can see, these are the set of what we're calling the main layers or the pillars of a capability spin stations. Starting by the interactive agents, which is purely kind of an agents being designed to handle a specific kind of a single well-defined manifest, what we're calling instructions or a tasks list. So, for example, repeating kind of an occurring activities, set of tasks may have some subtasks. So you are setting a prompt or an instruction, and all of these designed interactive agents being designed to act in a consistency or a demand. And then moving from the interactive agents as a type of categories of building to another way, which is the autonomous part, which is simply going main beyond execution. So understanding the entire set of goals, context, connecting with the plugins or the data sources for the reasoning or the grounding, creating the set of instruction plans, and then start to communicate and coordinate into multiple set of actions on behalf of the authorized, authenticated entity or a user or even an agent. And then going to another layer of the agents in terms of cases or requirement use case, which is what's calling the digital teammates. Simply set of a defined agents or multi-agents that are designing from a learning-driven perspective and then starting to emulate decisions, activities, or a making from a human being. This can be based on a specific on access or for enterprises system or purposes that operate on a specific schedule and activities. So what you're seeing as a kind of a quick intro message, showing you different kind of a layer of what we are working with enterprise customers and organizations when they're starting to build their own kind of an agentic framework or even system across different domains. So if you go to the next slide, please, Jason. So what we're seeing, let's have one more look. Jason is a team presenting to you what organization probably they might be facing in terms of kind of a challenges or ask. What we're showing to you right now is actually the figures insights that we are getting from a benchmark as well, from Gartner, Forrester, IDC, in terms of this kind of an AI transformation and what organizations potentially they are asking us how we can help us to address all of these pillars. First, the visibility. There was a great question from the team in the chatting window, how we can have a visibility into the agents, what's running, who's using them, etc., from which kind of vendors or tools. And this is one of the common asks, which is called shadow AI. So providing invisibility across the entire digital estate organization, different domains, different kind of stakeholders, and then list a kind of what are the discovered set of an agents. Is it the first party coming from Microsoft ecosystem, which is a Copilot family, or the Foundry, which is OpenAI, or it can be third party coming from other providers, AI providers, or even can be a custom agent being designed as a SaaS or a PaaS or even model as a service. So someone downloaded a model from a Hugging Face, is starting to build it on a specific kind of a framework with LangChain, Shellnet, A2A, call it, and then building their own kind of an agent framework, even a Docker container on their box, how will be able to discover even a custom one. And the second point, once you're starting to have this discovery and visibility dynamic phase, which is running continuously in the background, is starting to identify on the left side what is the emerging threat. So someone is using build the agent for a specific scenario connecting to enterprise system, but building this specific kind of an agent is probably someone do have an access and trying to exfiltrate, leak data, doing injections, doing a poisoning on a model, is starting to leak a specific kind of information, hallucinate back and doing a data and theft in terms of all of the connected assets. To the second ask, how technically we can help organization to protect and secure their agents. Remember, agnostic, first party, third party, or a custom against at least the AI LLM adversary threats. That's based on a specific framework like a MITRE Atlas, like a WASP, and much more. And the third pillar technically is all of these agents or an AI potentially connecting to enterprise plugins or data source for grounding, for reasoning, for a specific reason, for identifying the data purpose. What will happen if someone trying to leak this data, to exfiltrate this data, get an unauthorized access with just a kind of a prompt? So how we can protect the entire data security portion management, which is calling a DSPM. And the fourth pillar, which is who is authorized to access this agent in your organization. Is it being designed to be built accessible and authenticated for internal people, staff, or external, or there are another kind of a requirement or a manifest tasks that's actually been designed to access internal and external. And this is what's calling the agent sprawl and the gateway layer. How you can secure and govern the entire agents in your system organization. At the same time, how you can authenticate who can authorize. Do you have an access on what, and access to which data and which plugins in your agent. And last but not least, the compliance. How we can make sure that our agents, enterprise agent as a SaaS, PaaS, custom designer organization, is actually governed across the organization. Again, a specific framework from responsible AI to AI Act rules to NIST, to ISO 2740001 related to the AI principles, or even have the capability to tailor it based on our own requirements as an organization, or even on a country or a state or an industry level. So if you go to the next slide, please, Jason, we'll be able to see, we're giving you an example. We're not going to mention about what's called Agents 365 now. We're going to park it in the coming slides. But what you see here, this is just a kind of an illustration, and will show us you real scenarios in the coming slide and real set of threats or attacks of what we're seeing with organization and how we can help them. So what you're seeing right now in organizations or even a specific user, regardless which kind of role, it can be developer, it can be a normal user, it can be security, it can be an IT. The team explaining to you the entire observability foundation, from a security to app and dev to even going to an IT layer. And those are the main domains or the stakeholders. Someone started to share a specific link with an agent being designed. These agents can be coming from Microsoft as a first party, can be third party, can be custom, as we said. First, how you can give us the visibility across the shadow AI. Second, how to identify the risk and how to mitigate this risk, and what are the required policies and regulations or a governance in order to mitigate it and reduce it. And give us an entire AI risk excellence dashboard that my team, my organization have full visibility. So what you're seeing on the right side, showing you the entire capabilities without the layer, which is, we'll speak about it in the coming slide, which is calling the Agent 365, which is part from the E7 suite as well, or it coming as a standalone, that's giving you the capability of how to define the visibility across all of your agents and apps. What is the approval cycle? Who are authorized to use? Showing any kind of data protections as a postures management across use by all of these agents, and the entire set of a lifecycle. If you go to the next slide, we're going to show with you a specific set of examples. But before doing this, now we understand what are the identifying kind of challenges or an ask that organization even asked us, and even the benchmarkers recommended that in order to have and securing and governing a layer for your agents and AI, you need to have a one framework or layer fulfilling all of this requirement. And that's what we built. We built what's calling an Agent 365, which is a complete unified control plane for your agents. First party, third party, a custom consumer enterprise. It's mainly designed to be an agnostic, unified control plane to monitor, govern, secure, protect your agents. And what you're seeing, the three main pillars, which is we're not going to spend time, we're going to show with you the slide deck, I think, if it's okay by Jason and all of the rest of the team afterwards, you will be able to see that we are focusing on three main technical pillars: the observability piece, the governance and compliance piece, and the security piece layer. So observability will be able to see a bunch of features, which is will explain it and showing you live in the coming slide. From providing a layer to the IT team, infrastructure IT network team, as explaining by the team at the beginning. How the IT team in your organization having a full visibility across the entire agent's inventory. Which agents acting by who designed it, connecting to which systems or plugins or a data source at your organization. Which protection policies is pretty being applied. Is there an identifying threat or a security risk or a data exposure or a leakage risk on it or no? And starting to showing you what's calling the risk flags. And then going to the other layer, which is how you can govern all of your agents in your organization. So the team will be having a full visibility to the entire governance, compliance, identifying baseline shit, including the profilings which has been applied, recommendations and how recommendation to remediate it, and most importantly, how to provide an identity governance for your agents. So imagine the agents becomes like a kind of a user or a post profile in your directory. We did exactly the same for agents. Every agent's having an identifier, which is GUID. So it needs to be registered. The registration can be done and automated, or a process which can be done by the admin team will explain it to you. And once you register your agent in your directory, which is an intra ID for agents, you have a quick GUID identifier, which will be used across your entire Agent 365 security governance compliance system, from enrichment, from visibility, from protections, and from governance. And then on the right side, you will see the secure layer. And then showing you what are exactly the underlying security and threat management modules that's fetching and feeding all of the data and telemetry across all of your registered and connecting agents from Microsoft or from third-party other vendors or built custom, in order to ensure that no one potentially is trying to do a kind of XP attack for direct or indirect prompt injections, for doing a credential sifting for prompts across specific kind of data, for leaking confidential PII sensitive classified data connecting to your enterprise system, for XYZ scenarios or attacking TTPs related to MITRE Atlas, related to even WASP. And then how to block it. And then the most importantly, how to cover this one across the entire state. If you go to the next slide, please, Jason. Thank you. So what does it mean technically? If you're looking across all of these kind of potentially might be identifying the risk, and how this Agent 365, which is designed as an agentic unified control plane that's going this observability, visibility, governance, security, protection, the best way when you're starting to like to manage your own agents on a scale at your organization across different domains is how we can really extend the infrastructures with all of the users. And which means if we go to the next slide, we'll be able to see that let's starting to look at how it looks like. And then even if time permits, we are more than happy to showing you live in a live environment and on share the screen. So what's happening now? The IT team, remember about the observability foundational layer across all of the domains and how we are connecting the dots? So if you go to the IT, which is going to the MAC, it's standing for the Microsoft Admin Center, admin.microsoft.com. What you'll be able to see, your admin IT team, they will see there is a new category section called agents on the navigation bar, starting to showing an overview, all of the discovered agents, which is being registered either automatically or registered by the admin team as a third party. And then once you're starting to list all of the agents inventory, starting to go into the details. Who is accessing this one? Which kind of security, governance, protection, threat protection policies being applied? What is the recommendation? What is the risk? And show me which kind of activities it's happening on these agents. Is it suspicious, malicious, or an audit one? You have all of these visibility. And if you look on the screen, you'll be able to see there is an agent ID. It means there is an identifier GOID, which is being registered automatically or even registered by the admin team for any agents in the system. And we go to the next slide, you will be able to see and identifying a more clearer view, please. Shall we go to the next one? Thank you. And then when we're starting to drill down, so we're showing you visibility, how it looks like from the IT perspective, who are managing the entire set of an asset in your entire organization, from a user to product to SKUs to license to capabilities, features, etc. Now they have the full visibility on agents in their digital states. But before showing you the security, governance, compliance, observability feature, which are feeding this Agent 365 and protecting your agents, we're just showing you two simple examples of a real attacks. One is a specific kind of a scenario of how organization build a kind of an agent, and this agent's having the access on behalf, which is the OPO permissions. And then this specific agents is probably might be accessing by a specific user, which is not supposed to have an authorized access into the entire agent capabilities, which is connecting to a different system. And then the user is starting to prompt the questions, just a prompt, as a kind of even a text without any kind of an object in this specific kind of an agent, and then trying to doing a kind of direct kind of an injections to exfiltrate what are the APIs, what are the LLM models be using, how to reasoning. Potentially, they might need to hallucinate it, doing a data poisoning during their reasoning round, and then starting to leak, exfiltrate the specific data, which is not supposed to be revealed. And then if we go to the next screen, I'm showing you a couple of examples, which is a real one. Another one is how someone designed an autonomous agent. So an organization built a multi-agentic system using Microsoft from Foundry or using Copilot or even a third party as well from other vendors from a Bedrock, from even a Vertex, a Gemini, etc., or even a custom one. And then their specific kind of a task is how this specific kind of incoming, any kind of an incoming set of an emails, starting to pass by specific approval flow. And then once starting to pass by approval flow, autonomously starting to even react and take an action for response. So one of the main key point of doing indirect kind of a poisonings is how to interfere this autonomous kind of flow or a playbook that's based on a task instructions being designed for this autonomous agent by the organization, and then starting to even take an action to approve or to reject without interfering, getting the real approval from the concerned user. So go to the next one. We're showing you an example of scenarios that's going to different from a data, from a threat, from a visibility, from a monitoring. And in order to address, remember the first slides that I showed. When we bring and designed Agents 365 as a unified agentic control plane, if we look into the security pillar on the previous one, you will be able to see that underlining, there are 3 different kind of workloads or tools. There is Entra from Microsoft, there is a Microsoft Purview, and there is a Microsoft Defender, and we'll explain. We are leveraging a specific design capabilities, feature set under Entra, Purview, and Defender that's specifically designed to protect, govern, and secure agents inside your Agents 365. So if you go to the next one, I will show it to you quickly how it works, what are the capabilities. But this is just showing you a simple kind of a kill chain scenario for how a specific kind of a user, you built an agent. Is it interactive? Is it autonomous? Is it teammate? We discussed at the beginning different scenarios of enterprises for building agents that's connecting to tools as a plugins, as a data source. And then there is a specific user or a group of users that's supposed to be authorized and authenticated to get an access to this specific kind of an agent under specific permissions and access right role as an RPAC. And then there is specific kind of a models, probably connecting to this agent from a reasoning and grounding perspective. And then what we're going to see is, number one, how we can protect that this user that's accessing this specific agent is authorized to access this one. Second, how we can make sure that this agent, which is connecting to specific tools or data sources, enterprise data at your end, it can be connected to MCPs, to enterprise system, to productivity, security, management, internal network, identity provider, it doesn't matter. Is actually, when starting to invoke and reason across all of this enterprise data, is authorized for this specific user on a specific manifest or a task list. Third, how we can make sure that this specific user will not be able to bypass or exfiltrate any kind of confidential data, which is not authorized to be able to accessing at the first place. And then last piece, how we can make sure that protecting the entire structures or foundation layer for the access, for the network, for the control plane. So if you go to the next slide, we will drill down and showing you technically what are capabilities. In order to address all of this, you don't need to do that. We're now breaking down to showing you how we built behind the scene, and we're showing you a live screen demo. All of this just works in the backend across the entire Agents 365, and you're just getting all of this protection, monitoring, and observability and governance into a single pane of glass. So if you look at the underlying component to explain it to you, you'll see that we added Intra that have something called Intra Agent ID, a specific model in Intra in your tenants that once you enable it, it will automatically identify which kind of an agents being created because it's adding an identifier to it as a kind of registration. So the first thing that Intra Agent ID is designed to secure the agent sprawl and the access right of your agents as a Microsoft or a third party or even a custom one. For sure, there is a technical capabilities that we are sometimes we're doing an automatic and auto registration. We can do manual and we can do a hybrid as well. So always recommended to check the entire documentation list to see what exactly being covered as automated, what can be registered as a registration process for a custom, in your case of using for third-party agents from any vendor. And then how we can building what's calling the life cycle to identify the blueprint. What this agent authorizes to which user or group, what is the approval process, what are the permissions and access right, Is it a temporary or a specific kind of a schedule? And then defining what's calling the attribute access right control. And then you can define a conditional access, like what we're having in your other services in your environment tenant. For any specific, we're calling agent CA conditional access. Specific policy, define the conditions, access right, and then the actions that will be applied. So I can specifically say that any users outside of this group in my organization or staff, out of IT or security or HR or finance, trying even get an access accidentally to this agent, block it based on the specific permissions and access right, and automatically create an alert or an alarm for the security team to investigate what exactly been done. If you go to the next one, please, Jason, you will be able to see it. We'll show it to you live. This is exactly what are the underlying process of registering, securing agent's identity. So we're doing from the registration process to the governance process to the protection process. So now, just to skim this one quickly, you will be able to see that every screen showing you a live capabilities of how it works and how to configure it, how to apply conditional access for your identity for the agents. Go to the next one, showing you what are the identifying, like what we have, there are some users potentially might be risky as an identity protection. We have an identity protections behaviors for your agents. And now starting to show you the entire overall architecture or design flow, that you build your own security agents as an enterprise or specific agents. It passing by a specific kind of an AI gateway, which is under their entire tenant, and then starting to act specific kind of resource. So we have the visibility and the protections and the governance for the entire agent sprawl from Microsoft or even a third party in a single place. And then we go to the next one. This is just highlighting, going back to the same kind of an example or a kill chain attack. How we can protecting, secure your kind of a data. Now we're securing the identity and we govern it. How we can protecting data leakage from being exfiltrated, from being leaked. Someone saying that, hey, I'm using a Microsoft kind of Copilot or a Foundry, or I built an agent as a custom one or a consumer or a SaaS from any vendor. And someone trying to get an access to it, someone trying to get a confidential PII data, sensitive information, labeling data. How we can block it on time, and how we can alert the security governance monitoring team about such kind of an AI interactions and activity. So if you go to the next slide, we'll try to skim it right now to giving you a flavor how it looks like. And this is will come to the other underlining layer of the Microsoft purview. Remember, all of this is coming in, working under the hood and providing to you. But you write on us when we're doing in this webinar to explaining to you technical, the ultimate secure layer. And the good news, it just works when you go and configuring the Agent 365 and the policy settings, because they're giving you under a single pane of glass. You do not need to go across multiple portals or dashboards, but we're explaining to you what's happening. So we need to have this observability layer, identifying what are the discovered agents with the AI apps, which severity, which one is accessing some sensitive confidential enterprise data, and then identifying the risk, ensuring that every single agent is already having an identifier, which is agent ID. And this is a synergy of what's happening from the intra-agents, from the purview, and we will speak about the defender. If we skim it, this one here is just showing you a live example. Someone built a kind of an agent or an AI app in a Microsoft first party like Copilot or a Foundry or a third party from another vendor or a custom, is starting to prompt asking about specific kind of a document or a content, which is this document is actually classified as a sensitive information document and being set for specific labels to be authorized to access. The first time when a user is trying to get an access to this, they're getting a message. You will not be able because it's protected. And then there is a notifications will be showing to the security and governance team. And then when you go and skim and move to the next one, showing you that here is a message that this user even been notified or get it, which is showing an immediate set of a protection on the governance, on the data posture layer for your entire set of an AI and agents. And then going, here is a kind of a view showing more analysis about I need to investigate, I need to analyze what exactly been done. What are the set of sensitive confidential files that my agents probably might trying to exfiltrate. So you'll see there is a visual kind of a chart diagram showing you the severity, the levels, the examples, the data, which kind of an agents in your organization, and who is trying to access as a kind of an activity log, and what action being applied, and what is the recommendation showing to you. And then we'll go to the next one. The other scenario is starting to, hey, now we manage the entire agents, we secure them as an identity and access right. We manage and govern protecting, securing the data or the access from being leaked or being exfiltrated for the enterprise system for the agents. The third pillar, how we can make sure that if someone trying to access or doing injections or any kind of a threat LLM AI attack techniques from OWASP, MITRE, Atlas, and more, this will be detected, this will be blocked, and there is a guardrail will be applied as a proper shield. And this is will come to the third pillar of the underlying product of how Defender is working seamlessly under the hood with Purview and Intra and feeding the Agent 365, which is a single pane of glass that will show to you live. And then we'll go to the next screen showing you this is a capabilities. So even your security, your SOC team. So we mentioned about the AI team accessing the admin center. We're speaking about the apps and dev with the team. Now let's look into the security piece. Your SOC team, when they go to the security console, security@microsoft.com, they will be able to see there is a new kind of a categories on the navigation menu, which is called AI agents. And then having the experience, the same visibility. What are the identifying set of an agents in my organization? But they have more artifacts and metadata related to the correlated threat part. And remember, everything's working behind the scene. So you do not need to go and configure every single pieces across different layers or portals. So as they're seeing there is something's been detected, someone using a specific agent that's reasoning a specific model like GPT-5, connecting to some MCP servers at the same time. But you know what? There is a kind of malicious activity that someone trying to do injections and then poisoning and then access the data on the backside. Now you'll be able to get this one in a one single pane of glass, identifying you, listing all of the agents, what is the risk, what is the threat, and providing you the capability to doing hunting. So you can do proactive hunting, creating your own kind of queries as a SOC analyst team, save it as a kind of a detection rule for any kind of an anomaly or abnormal activities that potentially you need to add on top of the detections capabilities that's coming on this kind of a layer. And this is just a kind of a screens at the end showing you how from a SOC analyst perspective on the security and SOC side, they are getting the full visibility, the entire incident details. And then if you go to the next slide showing here is the assessment, here is the information. And last but not least, all of what we're explaining showing you the ultimate way and how Agent 365, which is can becoming a standalone or part from the M365, 365 E7 suite. It's actually helping you design as a unified control plane in a single pane of glass. And the last piece we're showing to you, we built what's calling a complete SDK, Agent 365, that all of the admin and the dev team, they can download, sideload it with different IDEs, and they're starting to register any agent, even a custom being built in-house. So as a sum up, this is the Agent 365 showing you the enterprise capabilities. And now back to Jason.
Thank you, Hisham, for the deep dive section, which was very beneficial. Thank you, everyone, for joining our session. All the questions have been answered in the chat. In case you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. At the same time, if you want tailored E7 pricing based on your ecosystem, based on your existing license ecosystem, please scan the barcode to the left. If you want a free, responsible, and secure AI readiness assessment based on everything we discussed, please scan the barcode to the right. I've added as well in the chat those barcodes for future references, and was nice having you in this webinar. And thank you all for joining, and thank you, Eric, Hisham, and Ziad for being with us today. All the best, stay safe, and take care. Have a good day.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Jason and all.
Thank you, everyone.